Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's your host, Raul Infante, here with Taking Dish Sports, here with my co-host, Alexis Diaz.
What's going on, guys? What's going on?
Hey, so today we're actually going to be covering the NBA playoffs, started in April 13, 2019. So don't forget, guys, we're not only the guys that watch these sports, but we analyze them. So, hey, Alexi, I want to start off by asking you, what performances, what games have caught your eye so far in the start of the NBA playoffs of 2019?
So I'm an East Coast guy. We're Boston guys. But so far, I am really impressed in the Western Conference playoffs. Number one with Portland versus OKC. Portland is playing phenomenal. Damian Lillard is here. CJ McCollum, that duo is back. And another thing I would love that we're going to talk about is the Warriors versus Clippers. Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell. Oh, what you think? What you think so far of the playoffs?
Honestly, I'm the complete opposite. If you're a real fan of the show, you know that I'm a Boston Celtics fan. I watch all the games. However, got to root for the home team, so I'm obviously paying attention to the opposition, which is the 76ers, the Magic, the Toronto, and the Brooklyn Nets so far. Milwaukee has the first seed. They're balling right now. So, we'll cover that in a little bit. So Alexi, I actually want you to start and start discussing specifically why those games in the West Coast has caught your eye so far.
All right. So before the start of the playoffs, right, the Portland Trailblazers have lost 8 straight games in the playoffs. A lot of NBA analysis and a lot of professionals, gamblers and all those guys, they were taking OKC in 6 games versus Portland. Even though Portland is actually a higher seed than OKC, a lot of people are going against the lower seed, the higher seed, in Portland. One thing that I want a lot of you guys to pay attention in that game is the passion and the energy and the look Damian has playing against Russell Westbrook. I want to say about 5-6 games ago, right? Damian Lillard went ahead and he shot some free throws. And Russell Westbrook was on the bench, and he literally yelled at him, "I've been busting that ass for years." Ever since, Damian has been averaging almost 35 points a game against OKC. Russell, what he did is that he woke up a beast. That's exactly what he did. And don't forget that when Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum came to the scene, those guys were the second scoring guards behind Clay and Curry. So for a lot of people to take OKC, beating them in 6 games was straight disrespectful to Portland. And one thing Portland does that Oklahoma doesn't do, and you can see it if you watch their games throughout the season, Oklahoma doesn't play defense. Oklahoma doesn't guard point guards or shooting guards. Russell Westbrook's a phenomenal player, Mr. Triple-Double, right? Do you see that guy playing defense? He does not get back on defense, He's a lot of people say he's a stat pattern and all that, but he's still a phenomenal player. He's a top 10 player in the NBA. One thing I love about the Portland Trailblazers is the amount of forwards that they got that could play defense. They have guys. They have guys like Aminu, Maurice Harkless. These are literally forwards that could play the 3 and the 4, and they could also switch with guards. Like they could switch to the 2 and actually defend. And that's what Russell Westbrook is having. He's still getting his triple doubles yet, but he's not scoring. He's not scoring on that matchup. Paul George is carrying the load like he's been throughout the whole season.
Yeah, and for some reason, Russell Westbrook is playing extremely different in the playoff performances. What I noticed from Russell Westbrook before having a player like Paul George on that team was that he was the aggressor before, and it could be making an impact on how he's playing now, because before he was aggressive, he was looking shot first. And if you notice in this playoff series, he's actually passing a lot more and is creating more opportunities for other players. And I noticed that OKC, has had good dishes from Westbrook, but other players are also missing key shots there. And when somebody like Damian Lillard that's drilling 30-footers for threes and really handling that ball, it's showing who the clear-cut better ball handler has been in that series so far.
Exactly. And OKC is not going to beat Portland. OKC is not going to beat Portland trying to outscore Portland. OKC beats Portland playing defense. If OKC does not play defense, Portland is going to beat them in 6 games. And one thing I love about Portland is the fact that they actually picked up Ernest Cantor after the Knicks bought him out.
Right.
Without knowing that Nurkic was going to go down. Nurkic went down before the beginning of the playoffs. And the fact that Cantor came up and had 20 points, 18 rebounds in the first game says a lot about what Portland could do. I just want to see what OKC does when they come back, when they go back to Oklahoma. I know for a fact that Portland has they play really well in the road too. CJ McCollum actually averages more points per game away than he does at home. So let's see what OKC brings to the game 3 against Portland.
So how about the other game that you brought up? I know there's a few games. I just want you to cover them real quick. What other games were the ones that stuck out to you rather than that series?
Everybody knows. Excuse me. Everybody knows the Warriors versus Clippers was insane. A lot of people went to bed when there was 5 minutes left, and the Warriors were on 31 points. I was like, let me just wait till the third just to see.
Well, listen, can you blame fans? Look who the Warriors have been the last few years. They've been running the league.
Exactly.
It don't matter if they got Durant. It don't matter if they got Cousins. They've been running the league. So you can't blame fans that are kind of burnt out from watching them win, sort of like the New England Patriots, you know? So, I mean, it is what it is. And when you saw that first game and Curry goes out there and scores, over 35 points, you're like, oh, man, this is going to be a quick series. But then game 2, it's a whole different story.
And what I liked about game 1 is the whole beef between Patrick Beverley and Kevin Durant, the yapping back and forth. Patrick Beverley always in Kevin Durant's face every time he's switching, every time he's trying to get to the lane or anything. He sees Patrick Beverley right there. He actually reminds me a lot of Marcus Smart. One thing I like about the Warriors versus Clippers game is the fact that these guys don't like each other. They do not like each other.
Right.
There's no, hey, guys, let's play a good game. No. They absolutely hate each other. Lou Williams. Can we talk about Lou Williams for a second? I personally think he's better than Jamal Crawford as a sixth man. I'm throwing that out there, right? Because Jamal Crawford's the only player to drop 50 points in 4 different teams. But Lou Williams' game averages is easily probably like the highest of anybody coming off the bench. And one thing I like about Lou Williams is that when he comes off the bench for the Clippers, he takes over that team. The guy literally comes off the bench, but he still plays 34, 35 minutes a game. And he finishes as the top scorer for that team. One thing the Clippers did in game 2 with those 5 minutes and 30 seconds left in game 2, and they were down by 31. Do we forget who their head coach is? Mr. Doc Rivers,
Right.
For you guys who don't know, he brought us banner 17 back in Boston. This guy is a coach. Like, he's going to coach regardless if we're winning by 20 or if we're losing by 40.
Right.
And the fact that he kept these guys still in the game, hey, guys, keep on playing your game, playing your game, get your rhythm. Lou Williams comes out, drops 27, 28 points in the second half. Montrezl Harrell, the guy's a monster. He had a really great season this year. He's probably the best power forward coming off the bench for any team in the league. The guy averages almost a double-double. And what he does, the pick and roll game with Lou Williams.
Right.
A great passer. So when you have a two-man game between Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell and you actually win the game, I want to see what the Clippers do for the rest of the series. And don't forget, DeMarcus Cousins is out too.
Yeah, I'll go back to the Clippers real quick. I love how they're utilizing Lou Williams. Just like you said, you got an experienced coach in Doc Rivers. They're using him sort of how a young James Harden was utilizing in OKC. People forget that OKC team made it to the NBA Finals. Yeah, they came short, but it's a similar style of play that they're utilizing there. So it's a great way of using Lou Williams coming off the bench. It gives him a different role, but just like you said, he's not losing any time with his minutes, and he's producing while he's out there. So if it's not broken, don't fix it. I say continue with the momentum and see where it goes. In the sense of, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Golden State Warriors. I think that they're going to be a better off team without Cousins being in there. They have experience with that core for many more years than having Cousins in there. It's his first year, and he didn't even play a full season. Now they could go back to the old ways, and like I said, they have more experience playing together that way. So I think that Golden State, having a better record in the first half of the season than having the second half this season shows that they're able to perform without DeMarcus Cousins. He's a great player. He's been a great player for years. He's been a bully out there, but I think it creates more opportunities for the players that have been in that system for many more years to go back to doing what they've been doing for years.
Especially Draymond Green. Draymond Green is going to is the guy who took the biggest hit with DeMarcus Cousins being in that team. What happens now is that Draymond Green can now get back to his minutes playing in the power forward and in the center position. What I like about that, I don't want to wish no injuries on any players, but it goes back to what you were saying, piggybacking on what you were saying. It goes back to showing the same Warriors team for the past 2 years with Kevin Durant. It's going to be scary, though, now that DeMarcus Cousins away from the lineup and they're going back to basics pretty much. It's going to be really interesting to see what they do. Some people actually think it's going to be the opposite because what it is, Draymond has been taking a step back in the past 2 years in his the way they plays the game. So let's see what they do. I think the Warriors are still going to be in good hands, but I don't think I don't think the Clippers win the series, but I could see them pushing it to 6 games, 7 games.
That's where you look for the lower seed teams that that are playing against high caliber teams like that. It'll make the NBA fun if a team like the Golden State Warriors could finally be eliminated.
Exactly.
Even not even in the NBA Finals before that. We finally got a refresher with LeBron
Listen.
James finally not being in a playoff game.
Oh.
And so even though it's less fun without LeBron in there, it's just refreshing and it's better for the NBA fans that were kind of burnt out from the same things.
Listen, a finals without LeBron or the Warriors for the first time in like 5, 6 years, 10 years almost. Bring it, bring it.
New food on the plate.
Exactly. Hey guys, don't forget to like and subscribe and feel free to comment.
And don't forget to hit that bell button for more notifications. So we're going to proceed in covering the NBA Finals of the 2019 season. I actually want to bring up one team that everybody tends to look over every single year, and they end up making a deep playoff run on a year-to-year basis, and that's the San Antonio Spurs. What do we got to look forward to in watching that, let's be honest, boring team?
All right, so listen. When Kawhi Leonard was, complaining, oh, get me out of here, and San Antonio finessed DeMar DeRozan, I'm like, they got a superstar for a superstar. Right? So now you have a superstar, right? Because DeMar DeRozan is a superstar. And Greg Popovich's system that wants to play. And you have the Spurs in the playoffs. That's recipe for success as long as Greg Pop is the coach there. They won game 1 against Denver. The Denver Nuggets, the team with the best home record in the past 2 seasons of ball. They've only lost 3 times at their home court. And the fact that the Spurs went ahead game 1 and won, that says a lot about what they still have and what they could still accomplish. And it just shows that Greg is working still with the Spurs, but with a completely different team. And he's getting it done the Greg Popovich way. Something a la Belichick.
And that's what makes him the greatest coach, in my opinion, in NBA history. Forget about the ring numbers. We won't mention anybody that has had stacked teams his whole coaching career. So Greg Popovich, greatest of all time. So watch out, Spurs. So now we're actually going to move on to the East Coast. Let's start off and start covering the 76ers versus the Nets, and then we'll go on and cover the Boston Celtics, and then we'll cover the Toronto Raptors against the Orlando Magic last. So go ahead and start covering what your take was on a home team losing at home and another home team losing at home.
Okay, one thing I've been saying ever since like last year is that the Sixers are overrated. Those guys are still young, and they're not winning. They're not going to win. Why? Because how do you have 4 All-Stars, or potential All-Stars in Tobias Harris, right? And only from those 4 guys, only 2 of them reach double digits in scoring. 2 of them. Oh, that's not Ben Simmons' game. It's the game of basketball. You're supposed to score. You're supposed to score in the game of basketball. Ben Simmons having that stat line that he had against Brooklyn in game 1 in the playoffs was pathetic. And that's why I keep on saying Ben Simmons is overrated. The guy can buy a jump shot. The guy, he literally attempts the same amount of threes as I have in the NBA. And as you could tell, I'm not in the NBA, guys. Right? So one thing I want to say is that if they keep on playing like that, or they think that they could just float around the playoffs, being, oh, yeah, we're the 3 seed, you're a 7 seed, 6 seed, you guys can't beat us, and then lose game 1, what you're doing is you just gave Brooklyn confidence. You just gave Brooklyn for confidence that if they play defense, they could beat these guys in the 7-game series.
So I got a question for you. Do you think that Jimmy Butler's aggressive play, having 25-plus points in that game, really impacted how the younger players, just like you said, on that team played in game 1? Because if you look at game 2, they had chemistry there. They look like a complete different team.
Exactly.
You have guys there scoring triple-doubles. You have the 76ers scoring 51 points in the third quarter after having a killer end to the second quarter to go up from which was actually a close game until then in game 2.
See, scoring doesn't impress me. Defense does.
Right.
Brooklyn still scored 123 points, 122 points. And, I mean, they did drop 144 points. But you don't win championships outscoring the other team. You win championships by playing defense. Defense wins championships. That's a motto I go by, and that's a motto I keep on going with. And the fact that, I mean, they did bounce back. But responding to your question about Jimmy Butler's aggressiveness, listen, Jimmy Butler's the only guy on that team that got playoff experience. Jimmy Butler's the only guy there that advanced past the first round of the playoffs. Jimmy Butler is the vet in that team. You could say, depending on the shots, if he scored 36 points, taking 20, 22 shots, that's not that bad. But we're talking about exceeding 27, 28, almost 30 shots to reach those 36 points.
Right.
Then that right there is questionable because he's taken away from Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris. We already know Joel Embiid is Joel Embiid, right? But I think his aggressiveness is something that they need so he could lead the young guys in that Sixers locker room.
So the big question, guys, that I want you guys to actually answer to us, hopefully in our comments, is what's going on with Joel Embiid's minutes? Joel Embiid is by far their best player. He's the anchor in that team. Yeah, they have a lot of talent, just like you said, 4 potential All-Stars, but Joel Embiid is the man on that team. They even got commercials that keep going, hey, where'll Joel Embiid go? That you continuously see all the time. He got Hulu commercials. This guy is one of the most unstoppable forces in the NBA. Not the most unstoppable. I know he named that. We have one man in Milwaukee that I think is the most unstoppable man in the NBA, and, LeBron James in the West Coast. However, 27 minutes or under 30 minutes in the playoffs, is that something to worry about as a 76ers fan, as somebody that's rooting for the 76ers to get further than the rounds that they've been through so far with that core?
When I see low minutes, right, for a guy, and I see that he didn't foul out or that he wasn't in foul trouble, which I think he was in foul trouble in the first game. But in the second game, he only played 27 minutes. That shows a 6-letter word, injury. He's injured. He's nursing something that they don't want to announce. He is either sore, something is aching, and that's why he's playing the minutes that he's playing. You're in the playoffs, right? You're playing at least 35 minutes if you're the player that Joel Embiid is. Right. Arguably, a top 3, top 4 player all around in the East. So him playing less than 30 minutes a game is kind of worrisome for Sixers fans because that just shows that if they advance and they go deeper into the playoffs, is he going to get healthy? Is it going to be something where he misses a game or two because of soreness? So that's something that if I'm a Sixers fan, I'm definitely checking up on every day.
Right. So, guys, we're up for opinions there. We want to hear your take on why in the world Joel Embiid is playing less than 30 minutes. Even though, he's still balling in that. So, with that being said, we're going to move on to Toronto versus the Orlando Magic. That's, again, as I stated before, Toronto got booed by their fans in Game 1. They lost to a team that was a lower seed than them, and the fans were shocked. They were booing them out there just like the 76ers were Game 1. Cover that.
Kawhi Leonard played the Kawhi Leonard game. He did his thing. But you know what happened? So, what happens for every team that got a guy named Kyle Lowry in the team? He drops how many points? How many points? How many field goals does the guy hit? 0. The same amount as I have in the playoffs. All right? Listen. If you want to take that, Pop Pierce even said it himself. Oh, Kyle Lowry is a regular season player. Where is he in the playoffs? He's behind a milk carton. You can't be a professional. You can't get paid the amount that you get paid with. You can't be in a team like Toronto and score 0 field goals in an NBA game, in the playoffs, and you let a guy named DJ Augustin outdo you, drop 25 on you,
right?
And then you lose game 1, and you lose game 1 technically on a buzzer beater, because that game was still manageable to win. That's something that if I'm Kawhi Leonard, I'm looking like, yeah, that's pushing me even out the door even quicker.
Yeah, what I noticed in those games, is specifically in Game 2, was that it's going to be a tight series. I thought that the Magic did a great job in sticking tight against a team like Toronto. Kawhi Leonard, just like you said, ball. Those guys were moving out of the paint, and he's just there scoring, doing that boring dunk that he does, that one-handed boring dunk that he does. And just racking up his stat sheets. But what I saw, how I said to take away from the Magic, was that they were missing way too many easy shots, and when they got too far behind, too little too late, they weren't able to bounce back, and there goes Toronto going up 1-1.
Hey, you got to give props to Orlando. They played a great game. They played defense. The big guys definitely played some good defense down the stretch. And it's one of those things that you got to give credit to these lower seed teams that are actually balling out there. And like I said, and I keep on saying, defense. The only way these lower seed teams are gonna win is by playing defense, making it harder for these stars to score.
So speaking of defense, how about them Celtics? With that defense in Game 1 against the Indiana Pacers.
All right. So we don't really want to get into detail with the Celtics. They had one of the worst shooting performances in Celtics history, and they still won. What is it? Celtics playoff ball. That is playing defense.
Yeah, and what I like was that they were playing from the inside out. They were looking for the foul trouble early, and it really worked for them. I actually had a tough time. You know, I was being a hard critic. There was a few times where I was upset with their defense, especially with Jaylen Brown and Marcus Morris. Those guys tend to not click on the switches. There was plenty of times where the Pacers had open threes and they would miss it. So hopefully they could fix that and hopefully continue to win down the line. But that covers it there for the NBA playoffs. We could talk for days, but we have a set time. So we're just going to keep it there. Keep tuning in to Taking Dish Sports. Keep tuning in to the NBA 2019 season. We'll see who wins. We're not only the guys that watch these sports, but we analyze them. Here with your host, Raul Infante, and your co-host, Alexis Diaz.
Exactly, guys. Keep on paying attention. Keep on paying attention.